Hey friends, today's video is going to be a build breakdown on how I earned the Umbral Echelon emblem in the competitive playlist. This is also the same build that in Trials goes on 40 win streaks or more solo. It all starts with the inventory management because of a balance oversight in PvP, where if the weapon has the same ammo type, like primary to primary or special to special, you don't lose your abilities when you swap that weapon. This is to prevent people from, let's say, starting on a sniper rifle, shooting a sniper down the lane, and then just saying, oh, I'm out of ammo. Let's swap to an SMG so at least I have something. That's what the not swap modifier is trying to prevent. It's also trying to prevent exotic armor swaps. Like, let's say I'm on 6 Coyote, I can swap to Guishan Vest to maybe get a longer super. That's what it's trying to prevent. The oversight is primary to primary or special to special still allows you to maintain your abilities. So before I even queue into comp, I'm setting up my inventory so that I have the perfect weapon for the perfect range so I can swap when it's convenient. And it leads to something very silly like this match where I kept swapping weapons because the enemy team let me do it. I would, for example, I would be in sidearm range and they would back up to hand cannon range. So then I would just crouch, go into my menu, switch to Kramil's dagger, and now I'm matching their range. But why match their range when I can do better? So instead of swapping from sidearm to Kramil, I swap from sidearm to blast furnace and back up even further than their Kramil's dagger, where I'm getting a time to kill advantage. And sometimes it's even better than that. It's like let's say we kill one out of the 3 guardians, we know that they're about to be on a split spawn, and we know that split spawn is going to be super far away. So I'll menu to a scout rifle, go on an invis flank or crouch, and I'll catch this guy running out of spawn, and I'll tap him 3 times up with the scout. It's very, very broken. And if you're queuing the competitive playlist, you're playing to win. Like, my goal in the competitive playlist is to get out of there as soon as possible. Like, as soon as my emblem dropped, I bounced. And it's the same thing with my weekly roses. I will inevitably hit the maximum rank, but I'm in no rush to do that because I don't want to be in there. This is why I dropped a competitive rant video yesterday. So it all starts with the organization. And how do I do this? Let's take a look at DIM. Sometimes I'll manually set it up, but I do have loadouts right here. So comp 1 weapons shows my comp setup. And then you might say, why do you have 2 of these? The answer is because, let's just show you. It's going to switch weapons out of my inventory, right? Then we're going to put back the original loadout on. Might take a second. I still have to reorganize my inventory. I'll talk about that in a second. But if we go over to my vault tab and then sort by recent items, you can see that I have these 4 weapons ready to go. So let's say I'm about to load up into a match and I see that there's 3 Well of Radiance on the enemy team. Well, obviously, like, the weapons I have in my inventory are good, but there's one better in my vault, and that would be Hawkmoon. Because when you're fighting against a well, especially a 1v1, you can build up to the Paracausal 7 and kill the Guardian out of the well. So obviously I want Hawkmoon ready to go. Then if I'm playing like a Behemoth team or someone spamming overshields or rifts, I want access to this multi-mock for under-over. So that's the first set, is prepping my vault. Then I prep my inventory. This is how I do it. So I want my Vorpal weapon down here. I start on Kramil, I start on Slayer's Fang. If I get a kill and green ammo goes on the floor, swap to Ergosum. 3rd person mechanic, broken special weapon, and it oversight on the ammo economy where you can just swap weapons like that. It's broken, I use it. So as the match progresses, right, I get a kill, I know I can farm somebody on a scout angle, or they get bored and they peek my scout, so I go from hand cannon to my most used scout. Or I go from hand cannon to my most used allied demand. These are the closest in proximity to the cursor, so it's the quickest to get to in combat. And going in your menu is really intrusive to combat, by the way, in both modes of the game, but that's not a discussion right now. Just telling you how to win. Then my underutilized is the Blast Furnace. The long medium range rarely comes up, but it does come up sometimes. Especially with having access to 2 dodges with 6 Coyote, This allows me to wide swing an angle with a better time to kill gun, because at the highest levels of comp, most people run a Kramil's Dagger. You may think it's Redrix's S-Stock, but a .87 sucks compared to getting Adagio .6s and outranging the Redrix's S-Stock, and also sticking to cover so fast that your 1 second time to kill isn't even a disadvantage. So when you're fighting fire with fire, pulse versus pulse, why not just use a faster killing pulse that has more range? So that's why I choose Blast Furnace. Then supers come up, and it took me forever to get a Vorpal Rose. I was even using a Peace of Mind if you don't have a Vorpal weapon. Let me pull up D2 Foundry. Because if you search like trade Vorpal weapon, sorry, my keyboard's sideways, and then ammo primary slot kinetic, you're gonna see that there's not really a lot of options. Like Bygones is fine, but it's a very slow time to kill to fight Guardians not in their super. Belisarius is great, but it's not a kinetic weapon. And I'm using kinetic and void mods. Yes, I do have alternatives in my loadout section. Like, for example, this is the exact same loadout, but with green. The problem is, I can't fit all the green stuff in my inventory for when I'm swapping. So I have an entire green set, and I end up liking the kinetic stuff better. Therefore, in my most competitive state, I need a kinetic weapon. It can't be this Judgment, which is stasis. It needs to be a kinetic weapon. So then, I'm going to type energy, kinetic. We're going to see what comes up here. Autumn Wind, it's decent. Rose, that's the best, but there's a problem with getting Rose. It's really hard to get the RNG. Then there's Spare Rations. Same problem as Rose. Final weapon is DFA. So Autumn Wind, this is fine. But why go through the RNG of getting it when you could just craft a Peace of Mind that a lot of you likely have the pattern, and it gives me a little bit of extra resilience? That's noticeable. I tried this. It was okay. Compared to a Rose, night and day. The Rose is a goat. So much better of a weapon. And you don't have to overcomplicate the role. Just go for the highest range and stability you can get. You're only really pulling this out when supers happen, so I don't even think slide shot's necessary. Just get this combination. Any of the range and stability. Then from Zur, you can get lucky and get a Spare Rations. It doesn't have the lightweight bonus of Rose, but I would argue it's just as easy to shoot, and the anti-flinch is nice. Then finally, if you're absolutely down bad and your RNG sucks because you're only allowed to pull 7 Roses a week, then there's DFA from the Vanguard, which can get this combination, which might be better than Rose for when Super Round comes up, because that amount of range is very noticeable. But Rose is a lightweight. Sprint does matter. I almost mained Stompies over 6 Coyote, if not for being a controller player. And I want to say I play primarily on console, but I did the majority of my grind on PC. I think I went up to 12,500 on PC. Then my duo got the emblem, and so I no longer needed to continue playing PC, because it's transactional. I just want to get out of there. So, supers come up, I swap to my Vorpal weapon, I swap to my Vorpal weapon snipe on the next life, or sometimes I'll even throw away the shotgun ammo to pick up a Vorpal weapon off of the box in-game. You might be saying, well, that's an aggressive frame sniper. You can use opening shot. Here's the problem. Spectral Blades is the most common super. Like, you're going to see mirror matches of my build and Radiant Dance Machines non-stop. It's not going to be Redrix's S-Stock with RDMs. It's going to be that sidearm, the Hipfire Arc one from this season. Anyway, most popular pick, Spectral Blades. The reason that you can't use a normal aggressive is because when they're invisible and are running towards you, and you dome them, they're going to survive with, it's not going to even be 1 HP, they're going to have a healthy amount of HP. So you need Vorpal weapon in addition to an aggressive frame to one-hit these supers, which is why I farmed out a second Velita for that explicit purpose. But if I were to like snipe in general, this is what my loadout might look like. It's like Rat King Sniper, When would this situation come up? Maybe like Twilight Gap, like a shotgun heavy map, where I need Rat King to chain kills to play solo because I don't trust my teammates to shoot back at the opponent. Like you can tell very clearly when you look at the roster who doesn't belong, and if you're usually the higher skill player in the lobby, the player who doesn't belong is likely to be your teammate. So that's already your warning sign to put on a build that doesn't need teammates. And I have won those matches where my teammates int or just quit the game out of frustration. These type of builds can do it in Clash. This shit's terrifying from the enemy team perspective. It's a 3v1, but you have different forms of invis to catch one player slipping. Or even if they are shoulder to shoulder, the sniper rifle can just take one of them for free. And then if you chain that into Devour and overshields and whatnot, you can just reverse sweep an entire team by yourself. It's very, very broken. So I would start on a sniper, and then when supers come up, I just switch to my Vorpal weapon. It's very, very broken. And that's the theme of this, by the way, if you didn't catch the rant. When you are playing to win, you should not be complaining about what the opponent's doing. It's transactional. You want to get in, get out. So I actually feel sorry for my opponents when I do all of this, because it's like, I didn't ask for this. I enjoyed playing the game when it was at its most competitive, balanced state. I played even more then. I liked the game more then. And this is just transactional, man. I just want to get the emblem. I want to bounce. Sorry, man. Sorry I play the way I do. Not going to complain about their build. That's just silly. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time to reply to messages of people mad that you're playing like this. Just win and get out. Okay, so organize the inventory. You see why I put things in my inventory in the places that they are. Next thing is, let's just talk about the individual pieces now. When it's a long range map, like it's Clash on Eternity, this is my go-to long range loadout. And you're going to see a theme. All the weapons I use have Skulking Wolf. I think this perk is broken because it gets you off the radar for doing what you're supposed to do. While at low health, Guardian Final Blows grant enhanced radar and remove you from opposing radar. It's the remove you from opposing radar that is amazing, because you can sprint, you can do everything except shoot, and you'll be off the radar. So what I do is I chain this with my invisibility, where the first like 2 seconds of my invisibility, I am on the radar while sprinting, and then I'm off. I use the ending of Skulking Wolf as the start of my invis, so I can go on extremely long flanks. And the best part is that I can do it with my scout rifle in my hand. Might also be noticing the radar booster mod. That one's broken. It's 8 extra meters on your radar resolution, which in a scout rifle gameplay, especially on the Transfiguration, is night and day. Because you'll see them on the radar 8 meters before they see you, which means you have time to crouch, you have time to invis, you have time to go in your inventory before they realize you're there. And so I'll always catch them in sprint, and because of the networking in the game, human reaction time, Jade Rabbit is just fast enough to delete them before they even realize what happened. So this is my long range loadout. Then my extreme close range loadout is I either swap this or I menu to grab Shap. Or if I'm playing against like Antaeus Ward or a Glaive or something, I have conditional right there, ready to go. So this is now my hyper close range loadout. I like this SMG more than I like this sidearm. I wish I could improve on this role, but it is RNG. And I want to say multi-kill clip comes up, but it really doesn't. Let's go fix my inventory. So that's my close range loadout. I like Wither Horde because I run a frag grenade, not an area denial grenade like a Vortex. Scatter is really just a junk food grenade to throw at the floor if someone's rushing you. I'll rant about this now. Biggest mistake I see people do at the highest level of comp is they see red on the radar, and before any bullets are exchanged, before any information is gathered, they just randomly throw a scatter grenade to start the fight, and they don't even like instantly follow it up. And most of the time, I'm anticipating a scatter grenade too, and they just waste it. They waste it on something before a team fight even happens. Such a big mistake and a waste of util. Yes, at 10 discipline or whatever, you get it back in like 45 seconds. But even then, it's just such a waste. What you should be doing with this is when you get crossfires with your teammates, eventually someone's going to get tapped up by a hand cannon and they're forced to sit behind cover. That is the time to use a scatter grenade. It's to clear somebody without getting in dangerous shotgun distance. And you get more of those per game than a suppressor grenade. I use suppressor because a good Spectral Blade player is 3 kills, maybe even 4 every time, and it's power ammo. Because a good player waits until power ammo is about to drop before popping Spectral Blades. So I use suppressor because in my head, I'm on low discipline, so I'm not even playing to get my grenade a lot of match. I get one opening play with the suppressor, and then by the time it recharges, it's super o'clock again. So it's like maybe I get 1 kill on the opener, right? Compared to their scatter maybe getting 3 by the time it's the super. But if I cancel a super, or if I use Devour to refill my grenade to cancel another super before the match ends, I can get rid of a snowball effect that could lead them up to like an 8 kill advantage or more. So that's how I look at suppressor. Not to mention, it functionally does the same thing as scatter for keeping people off cover. Especially that on mouse and keyboard, you can have very, very precise angles where you bounce it off a wall, so it delay detonates by the time somebody would be approaching. So it's really, really nice to set yourself up for your own follow-up damage or doing like an advanced bait or something like that. But I don't really throw my grenade that much. I build it all into smoke. I build it into smoke because of Trapper's Ambush. This is now my 3rd form of invis. So 2 on my dodge, 1 on my smoke, and because I use marksman dodge, I go 10 strength. Because sometimes a giant map appears like Eternity, this is my loadout, and I want to go on an off-radar flank. And I need to have as many dodges backpacked as I possibly can. Because there's a reason I use this over Radiant Dance Machines. Like, bold of you to assume I'm getting a kill in high-level comp. And high-level comp, 2 minutes can pass by without a single player getting a kill. So the person with Radiant Dance Machines isn't going to stock up backpacked dodges. The 6 Coyote player is going to have 2 dodges by the time the first bullets start being exchanged. That's the idea here. Use the invis for Trapper's Ambush to go really, really far on a flank. And then when somebody sees you on the radar, they're going to fly at you with the fusion rifle. That's dodge number 1. And if I was using like Stompies or Radiant Dance Machines, that's all I got. I only got dodge number 1. Dodge number 1 creates Devour, Reaper. I get all my health back. And I still have dodge number 2 for when the second fusion rifle tries to hit me. And that's enough to snowball the game with 1 good flank. So that's why I picked 6 Coyote. That's why I picked 10 Strength. That's why I picked Trapper's Ambush. Now there is a case to be made for On the Prowl. In the same way that I expect Spectral Blades to be the most common pick, if you have 3 invis on your team more often than not, On the Prowl loops, where if someone succeeds on getting the kill, they create the smoke cloud that makes everyone invisible, step through it, and then On the Prowl activates again. So if 3 of you have it, the likelihood of it working goes up and up and up. And in a game mode like Collision, where people can revive, this makes sense because the smoke cloud on the revive means that they can't maintain the zone if you don't have a full team wipe. That's awesome. And sometimes I do choose it. But more often than not, especially if I'm playing with a duo player, I want Trapper's Ambush to be able to go on those long flanks and to do fakies and bait and switches with my team. I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. The next thing to talk about is... Oh, actually, let me go show you this from my short range setup. I'll set my inventory like this with Claws of the Wolf. So that, like, let's say I'm using Shap or Witherhoard or whatever, and the opponent knows I have an SMG, so they keep backpedaling me. Just crouch, menu, now I have Claws of the Wolf. And this just got a buff, but I'm really only using it because of Skulking Wolf. Yes, I'm playing at a disadvantage against primary weapons, but Destiny is not a 1v1 game, it's a team v team game. So the chance of me picking up kills, or even purposely using a worse weapon to proc Skulking Wolf, it does come up. It also feels good on controller, although I think this is one of the worst feeling rapid fire frames. It's still a rapid fire frame. Okay, let's fix the inventory. And you have to do this before every single match as you're checking the roster. So now the next special situation is my anti-cheat loadout. I was debating on whether or not I even want to talk about this one, because it's like, if the cheaters know what I'm doing, it's not going to work. but you're clicking on this video because you're interested. A lot of you aren't gonna do any of this. You're just like curious what it takes to have a high win percent in this game, to truly play to win. I get it. I get that curiosity. So against my better judgment, I'm gonna show you my anti-cheat loadout. You're like, well, Cam, that looks pretty basic. First thing you gotta know is these tonics work in PvP. These give you an extra 5 intellect. And because I'm rich, I'm just gonna burn one. For 2 hours. 50 intellect. So this goes to 80, right? I'm getting my super in the match, even against the cheater. So you build into discipline. I build into advanced cold snap grenade and shatter dive. Why shatter dive? Because they have wall hacks on me. You shatter dive the ground, you see third person, and you just keep repeating that. And you want to pay attention to who the cheater's looking at, because they know who the threat in the lobby is, who the threatening player is, and they know who SpongeBob and Patrick is. The cheater is so focused on the good player, and they're looking at like the wall hack. They're looking at where your primary weapon is looking towards. They're looking at where your camera is looking towards. So you can use that to sort of draw their attention. And if you have shatter dive, you can make it so you don't accidentally over peek and get insta sniped. Then I will switch from Slayer's Fang to a Glaive, and I will switch from Kramel's Dagger to a Wish Ender, and I will pretty much play keep away while trying to kill the cheater's weaker teammates, assuming they're not Harry Potter, they're just Nostradamus, while also trying to protect my weaker teammates, because my weaker teammates don't know how to play against cheaters. They're like, oh, he only sniped me 5 times in a row. Maybe he'll miss the 6th. He won't. So yeah, I look at him through the wall, I wait until I have my grenade, and then I try to coordinate in voice chat if I have that luxury. If not, I just kind of go off vibes. And throw the cold snap, Bacchus in to catch my cold snap, and either glaive melee or shatter dive a 100% accuracy player. And I've seen him miss before because the glaive melee has the like Titan knockout synthesep effect of breaking the network, and I promise you, you will not die if you're just spamming the glaive melee. It is so broken, so unfun. But hey, they're probably cheating. And my policy on cheating is very simple. I don't do this messaging back and forth. If they're going to hold me hostage in a lobby and just like fly around Harry Potter style, I'm just going to leave. It's a waste of my time. I'm not going to be your entertainment. You're going to be my entertainment. And that's what this build's for. And yeah, if they just have aimbot, you can beat them pretty easily with this, to be fair. It's your teammates that are the problem, not the cheater. So my policy on cheating is as long as they know that they're cheating, that's good enough for me. I don't need to rub salt in the wound. I don't gotta spend another second on my day worrying about that shit. I'm just gonna get my win, get my emblem, and bounce. And hope that Battle Eye one day does something. Or they take Grenader Jake's suggestion and hire somebody to watch accounts flagged that have 15 truth kills a match where that doesn't add up. I don't know. Spawn in Briggs in PvP. So onward with the anti-cheat loadout. Shatter Dive for info. Wish Ender for info. Use the glaive block to bait one of their sniper shots, but no promises that they don't also have infinity ammo. You need to pay attention to primary kills in the feed. You need to pay attention to who's picking up boxes where, and that tells you when you're allowed to play fast. Because when the cheater's actually out of sniper ammo, that's when you can play fast. In fact, you don't even need the glaive anymore. You can switch to a real weapon for at least a life. And once that cheater's dead, you gotta play so fast to wipe the other two. And you want to keep them split spawn for a very long time. Which Shender goes back on, you're communicating again. Cheaters on, a certain side of the map. If you want to see this shit done in real time, I recommend watching DeFizzle stream on usually a Trials of Osiris launch, like exactly the hour of. He matches cheaters pretty frequently and employs similar tactics, but maybe not this min-max. The reason I have to go this extreme is because in solo queue, I don't have 2 other Ascendant level teammates, apparently Ascendant level teammates, best in the world. It's not going to happen. 3 best in the world players using normal builds can beat a cheater. But when you're solo, you gotta just do everything. I almost thought of going prismatic to have access to blink, and I guess that's still an option because it doesn't really ruin my cooldowns. But I don't like the options for actually killing the cheater, but cutting space to get close and deal with his teammates. Blink and Bacchus, perfect for that. But yeah, that's just what I use. Let's fix the inventory again. Let's talk about individual components. See if I'm missing anything. I'm doing this as a live commentary because it's close to Mother's Day. I want to visit. Y'all need a video. Tell your mothers you love them. They work too hard. Okay, fusion rifle. Zealot's Reward is usually my go-to, but I've been trying this and it's been fine. I guess I would take Successful Warm-Up over Vorpal Weapon. I don't recommend using these against a Spectral Blade, but it's a fusion rifle. Fusions are broken. And I did say my policy is like, you should feel sorry for your opponents. There is a skill ceiling difference. Like fusion rifles, you get the soul read, the delete. There's a mix between skill floor and skill ceiling that you want to hit for your own personal consistency. For me, that's slug shotguns. Slugs are just better than fusions. Oh, I should probably mention why Slayer's Fang. Why not Cascade Point? The reason no Cascade Point is because that shit floods the bottom left of your screen saying Cascade Point ready, Cascade Point ready. I don't need to know that. I don't have any bullets in the gun. You're blocking the feed. I need to know if I have Skulking Wolf. I need to know if I have Adagio. So, Repulsor Brace only. Also, the Tome of Want works in PvP. So before a match, I will suspend Ritual, put on Episodic Weapons, and just reset that. And the broken one is, you throw a smoke at somebody to weaken them, you get an overshield. Just an overshield like that. Add an extra hand cannon bullet to the time to kill. Seasonal Artifact is dumb. Has no reason to be in PvP, but yet it's still there. So Slayer's Fang. Why this shotgun? Answer is because as noble as it is to say you use a shotgun defensively and like swap between the hand cannon and slug, that's a good strategy, right? Like it's an effectively fast time to kill. You don't have to be as accurate. You can go for body shots. It's a risk reward versus your personal consistency for skill floor versus skill ceiling. And what this offers is, yeah, I don't have an option to swap to my primary to bail my ass out. I just have to hit the shot. And when I'm carrying SpongeBob and Patrick, and let me elaborate on SpongeBob and Patrick. Y'all ever seen that gif of SpongeBob and Patrick fighting in the hall? This one right here, that episode of the boating school one where they're fighting in the hall and they're like flailing their fist all over the place and it looks like they're in a fight, but then the camera zooms out and they're not even hitting each other. That's what the death cam looks like in Destiny 2. See SpongeBob and Patrick dumping the whole magazine, not doing any damage, and they're in the same rank as you, by the way. It's so frustrating. And yes, I also understand, building on that competitive rank from yesterday, that if they didn't have those players, the match would never start. You would always get Mongoose error coded. And that's valid too. I get it. Still sucks to be in. I would rather just the Mongoose error code not exist and the queue take 30 minutes and let me just play a match of control until my match is ready. That would be fun. It'd be such a better queuing system, right? Why don't we talk about that? Repulsor Brace does come up. The risk reward is, I do my slug thing, I get wall hacks. Wall hacks to know exactly what to do to play cover with your hand cannon is what leads me to Adagio. Adagio 2 taps, 0.6. And then that chains on itself. And I can continue that advantage for a very long time, all for the low cost of hitting one slug headshot. Then, if I continue my streak, I've accumulated like 4 Slayer's Fang bullets in my backpack, and that's where the ricochet rounds come in. I tap them up with my hand cannon once or twice, and I'm not ricocheting them to get the kill, I'm ricocheting them to keep them weak. So I can push, where I can jump in the air and not worry about missing a shot, because all I need is just 10 damage from anything, and they're cleaned up at that point. So I just jump in the air, shoot them in the body with Cremil, I have Adagio, their team dies again. It's broken. I can't believe everyone is on Redrix's S-Stock as like the broken combination this season. I want you to know I've had teams of all last word have to swap weapons just because I'm putting in work with Cremil's dagger, making love to the wall. They can't do anything about it. My gun hits harder. It's like, yes, their gun kills faster, but like, get in your distance. I'm not going to let you. I have a slug shotgun. I have a 120. It's broken. I feel bad for you. Little cowboy gun. What else do we got here? Slug, sometimes I will Rat King with the slug, where it's like Twilight Gap. Let's say my sniper, it's getting kills, but it's not converting into points on the board because they're disrespectfully flying at me with the shotgun, and my team can't do anything about that. I have to throw in a slug. This is a placeholder for when I get a sudden death. Note on Trench Barrel, if you play like Void Warlock, Hunter with a smoke, Freeze Warlock, Trench Barrel is pretty good for killing supers. Just try to throw a smoke somewhere in the vicinity of where you think a super is going to cross. You have to be within, I think, 15, 20 meters. And Trench Barrel procs. And that 50% damage bonus deletes supers. It's really, really nice. Velita F, closest thing I can get to 50 zoom while still being a Void Sniper. And then having the broken perk combinations. Other snipe that I use is Frozen Orbit. And it's good. But I also just like the Vorpal weapon swap. It's just a fantastic snipe. I think power weapons are the next thing to talk about since I've pretty much covered everything else. Got the Vorpal DMT swap. Yeah, let's talk power weapons. The default is usually a machine gun for comp. That's like the most common thing people pull. I find I'm getting more value out of the sword. The only caveat that comes with playing sword is you're not allowed to third-person peek. But if you grab this off the wall, it takes like a full second before you're allowed to pull it out. This is my personal default for when I'm playing for fun, but honestly, rockets aren't really good unless they're truth to pull two off the wall. And I don't have that there because I still feel that Black Talon functionally does better for a wall pull. Although that I might change my tone on a map like Eternity. We'll see. I think these are really good for controller players. I know M&K too, because they can split targets, but Linear Fusion, it's a very risky weapon to choose because you're very likely to drop an ammo brick on the floor if you fail. So you got to be pre-firing. Don't be afraid to spin this ammo. Line in the Sand, on paper, has the most aim assist of any linear. So it just kind of makes sense to have. Remote detonation comes up on certain maps, like if it's Wormhaven or something, and they're like emoting at the glass or whatever, trying to, goad me into fighting. Just dump some remote detonators and problem solved. Parasite to fight supers. I guess I could use Tractor Cannon or Acreus. Been experimenting with Finality's Augur. I don't really like it, but I could see some map swaps, like on Collision, maybe making sense. And by the way, I will just switch off of Slayer's Fang to pull like Parasite or something. Like, I'll take the one bullet loss to kill a super. It just makes sense. Sometimes I'll throw a Slice machine gun in there, but I like the extra ammo from Hammerhead more. And then when I play mouse and keyboard, I like the grenade launchers the best. This feels like 3 kills per pickup, even still, because full court is so good. You can also put a dump blast radius on it if you want even more consistency. And you can even take off proximity nade because the splash is enough to still one-hit people. Proxy, though, I like to clean up with my other weapon. Like, I'll jump at an off angle, splash them, clean up with the Dagio, problem solved. Let's put on my loadouts. I have a loadout here saved so that I can have my Jade Rabbit swap. The only difference is you see a Kinetic Siphon on my helmet. This switches to a Void Siphon, because the majority of multi-kills I'm getting are with the SMG. So I have that ready to go when it's a big map. I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about on, like, whatever clickbait title I used for the algorithm. The most broken build in No, it's not. On console, I love 6 Coyote, man. Fusion rifles are everywhere, and when you dodge against a controller player, against an MK player, they lose aim assist. The difference is, controller loses adhesion, which sticks to the target. MK just loses aim assist. They're still gonna 3-tap you. It happened. Against even non-Nostradamus players, I'd still get just tapped up for dodging. It's an entirely different sandbox. And if you're wondering, like, console versus PC, which is harder? Do you even have to ask that question? PC is less populated and BattlEye exists, so you just auto lose for that reason. The players on average in a lower population, higher skill density there, whereas console, more varied skill levels to fill matches. Console gameplay, though, is a lot slower because it's controller versus controller, which is why the mobility stat kind of makes a difference there. On mouse and keyboard, you flick a direction and slide, and you've dealt with the controller player. Whereas controller versus controller, nobody, even at 20 sensitivity, has that type of speed. So you need the fastest walk speed to sub-position to not get crossfired and to break their adhesion. The only reason I'm on 7 recovery is because after dodging, since 6 Coyote has Reaper baked into it, Fonta Restoration lets me kill chain as if I'm 10 recovery. And yes, it does make a difference, but I'm typically lurking. I'm not really looking for honorable duels or anything like that. So yeah, recovery is important. So I have it just high enough. I think mobility is the most important because having access to the dodges means I'm not dying to fusion rifles, which are the most common weapon. Still die sometimes, but if I had to suggest an alternate loadout, or if I wanted to play an alternate loadout, I would probably play Stompies as my second pick, Knucklehead Radar as my third pick, RDMs as my fourth pick. And I kind of like where that is right now. All of them seem like compelling options. I guess the reason not going Stompies is because I would have to go heavily into the AE stat, and there's not enough weapons in the sandbox that give me that AE combination trade-off that I'm looking for, because I have to give up Skulking Wolf, which just doesn't make sense for my playstyle. I think that covers everything, friends. Hope you learned something. I wish you the best of luck in comp, because after this video, your games might get a lot sweatier. So you need to be thinking a step ahead of everything I just showed you today if you're playing this mirror match. Otherwise, you just need more practice to very quickly find that correct combo line. Maybe that's an instant dodge into Devour. Maybe that's a smoke fakie. I don't know. You gotta figure it out. You gotta practice. See y'all on the next ones. Happy Mother's Day early.